Good evening. This is the meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Wareham, 7/15/14. We were in executive session for reason number 6, and we'll continue the meeting as we go.
All right,
We did roll call already, so announcements.
roll call announcements. Mr. Titlebaum.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Sunday marked the end of the Summer of Celebration events, commemorating both the 275th anniversary of the founding of the town and also the 200th anniversary of the invasion of the British during the War of 1812. I just wanted to take a moment to recognize our chairman, Alan Slavin. Alan served on the main committee for that. A lot of people in town apparently don't understand that in addition to riding around in cars in parades, he also worked tirelessly every single week, meeting with people, arranging for things to happen, getting out there, physically moving stuff around, and everything else. And given some of the conversation I see in the newspapers, I thought it was important to remark upon the fact that he never once did this as a politician. He did it as a volunteer citizen for the town of Wareham, on behalf of the town of Wareham, on his own time and on his own dime. And that's all I have to say about that.
Mrs. Whiteside.
Ms. Whiteside.
Thank you. I have a couple, well, actually several. A couple of weeks ago, apparently, someone misunderstood, what?
The mic is on. We get tech support out here?
You want me to start again? What? Okay. Apparently somebody misunderstood something that I said a couple of weeks ago. We have a trash committee that has never met, but we have a recycling committee that is extremely active. The recycling center is open on Wednesdays and Saturdays. It's an alternative to driving to one of the, I'll call them dump sites. And they do really recycle all sorts of things. It's a great place to visit. I want to thank the people who work at Toby Hospital. I'm sure they're the unsung heroes of keeping this town together during the summer when the population doubles and plus. Yes, we have first responders who work for us, but ultimately it's the people who work at the hospital who may not get any time at all off because being called in for emergencies. Just want to say heads up and thanks, guys and gals. On the 4th of July, the Municipal Maintenance Department was out the next day picking up the trash from the people who were there. This year, there was only 1/3 of the amount of trash that there was last year. Unfortunately, there still was trash, but apparently the trash in, trash out is making some headway because that was a substantial decrease. I want to thank two groups of volunteers. The kids from the CCD program at St. Pat's continue to work every other weekend on the Wee Wee Antic playground. They have some signs up, they've got flowers up, they've done some painting, and every 2 weekends they will continue to be working out there. At the moment, they're looking for people who will strip a roof for them on the pavilion. They already have the materials to re-roof the pavilion, so they're working closely on that. Also, the Oakdale playground is being eyed actively by the Oakdale citizens, and because they have a big event on August 10th, they will need some help in just pulling weeds and making the place look a little bit better. The library is having a used book sale on Thursday and Friday, the 17th and the 18th, from 10:30 to 4:30. Get yourself a bag of novels, the trashy novels that you can leave at the beach if you so choose. Also, on the 24th at the library at 5 p.m., there is a concert. There will be punch. There will be cookies. And It's a fundraiser for the library put on by the Friends of the Library. I urge you to attend all of those affairs,
Mr. Holmes.
events.
Thank you very much. I think that, we have a lot of great volunteer committees in town, and, the celebration committee did a great job. There were a lot of people involved in that. We have the canal celebration is about to start to kick off as well. I noticed they're painting the Saginaw. I hope that's going to be done before they have that big party down there, because they had all the drapes up over the weekend. But a couple things this week as I continue my journey. I really believe that, I try, and Dolores does as well, we try, if we're going to buy something, it doesn't really matter what it is, we try to buy it local. And I almost caught myself the other day. I've been in need of a bunch of stuff, and I was almost tempted to buy something online. But I got to tell you, we have everything right here in Wareham. I've been over to Staples, you name it, Walmart, the AT&T store. Don't ever call the AT&T 1-800 number. You want to go right over to Wareham Crossing, if you can get out of your house. You go over there and ask for Lori, and she'll be happy to help you. She spent 2 hours on the phone last night trying to fix my phone situation. And it's pretty funny because, they have a private number they call. They text the home office there, the corporation. They know they're a store person. And she was on the phone for 2 hours. You can imagine if I tried doing that from home, I'd still be on the phone. So there's something here in Wareham. If you ever need something, I really encourage people to buy local. And on the food circuit this week, I had some nice fish and chips from over to Barnacle Bill's. I think it was maybe Thursday or Friday. Dolores and I went over to Zen's. If you haven't been there, it was Thursday. I saw someone else there, Mr. Trapiano. He'll probably give that in his report. But they have some great food there. We don't do the flames too much, but we've done that a couple of times. That's fun if you're looking for a family night out. So I continue to encourage citizens, if you're going to spend any money, try to support our local businesses, and that's about it. Thank you.
All right, okay, I have a couple. Wareham Gateman Youth Baseball. As everybody knows, they put on a couple of nice clinics. One's an instruction and a clinic program every summer. And there are various sessions, and they're underway now. And if you want to get in, there's always space to get the kids in there. It's a really fun take. It's the cost is minuscule, and if you have some issues financially, they even have a lot of scholarships that they give, and the kids really do a great job. These ball players do a great job of really letting the kids have some fun. At any rate, so if you're in the instructional program, which would be ages 4 to 9, the sessions are, let's see, we've already done that. So let's see, July 7th to the 18th. So we're still working on that one, right? And that's session 2. And then the last session is July 3rd, and that's from, July 21st, sorry, to August 1st. So that session is still open. Now, if you're 4 to 5 years old, it's 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and if you're in 6 to 9, it's 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Now, if you go to the advanced clinic, which are kids 8 to 12, 13 to 15, they have the same thing during July 21st to August 1st, which is sort of the last session coming up. And that's 9 a.m. to 12. So it's the whole morning. And my kids have done this over the years, and it's been lots and lots of fun. And if you get a chance, go over and get your kids into that program, because it's a lot of fun. All right, the next thing I've got is a first-time homebuyers workshop. It's Tuesday, July the 15th. and Thursday, July the 17th, from 5 p.m. to 9:15. It's, the workshop will be held at the new Cape Cod 5-cent Savings Bank branch at 10 Rosewood Park. Everybody knows where that is now, the new, right next to where the hotel's going up and the whole thing over there. Registration is required. It's $20 per person. It's a two-part seminar. Obviously, you can pay online, and if you go to www.nwsoma.org, you can, sign up for that program. Especially if you're a first-timer. All the information you can learn when you're trying to buy a house is nothing but a plus. Okay, that's what I have. Mr. Chairman.
Our YMCA is having an event at the Mattapoisett YMCA, 38 Reservation Road. It's Boogie On Down. It's Off the Hook Disco Night, Friday, August 1st, 2014, 7 to 10:30 p.m., $35 per person. This is a 21-plus evening, which will feature appetizers and a cash bar. The Office of the Harbor Master sent out a notice, which everybody may have not seen. Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries has notified the Wareham Harbor Master Department that shell fishing may reopen in Onset Bay. It was closed due to the spill that we had just a little while ago. The other thing we have, the Cape Cod Canal Centennial Celebration. Ours is finished, and theirs is picking up right behind us. They will have tours of the T.S. Kennedy, which is the training ship, 25th, 27th, and 29th at the Mass Maritime. Also at the Mass Maritime, the 25th to 27th, you can tour the U.S. Coast Guard Eagle sailing ship. This was a German training ship that was captured, I think, in World War II, if I remember right. It's a pretty spectacular boat, especially if it comes up the bay into the Maritime Academy. The Charles W. Morgan, which is the last surviving wood whaling ship, is coming back in on the 25th. Tours will be available the 26th and 27th from 9 to 5 p.m., again at the Maritime Academy. There'll be a parade of lights, which is going to be on July 26th at 9 p.m., goes up and down the full length of the canal. Sandwich, of course, one of our neighbors, they're 375 years old. They'll have a Sea Fest on July 26th. Cape Cod Baseball League All-Star Game is July 27th at Upper Cape. Game starts about, I think it's at 2 p.m. Actually, the gates open at 2 p.m., sorry. Game starts at 6:05. Tall Ship Kalmar Nickel, July 29th. They'll have tours for that. They'll be tied up again at the Mass Maritime Academy. The Schooner Mystic, another tall ship, will be at the Maritime Academy on July 29th for tours as well from 10 to 5. There'll be a tugboat parade July 29th starting at 4 p.m. along the canal by the Maritime Academy. And the official 100th anniversary commemoration will be July 29th at Buzzards Bay Park at 1 p.m. And there'll be other events going on starting at 4 o'clock on, and then the Centennial Display Fireworks, which will be over the railroad bridge, sponsored by David Mugar and B4 Productions, which is the same people who do the July 4th celebration of the Esplanade. And that will be July 29th. It should start at approximately 9 p.m. That's it.
Okay. All right, next is licensing and permit, oh, no, sorry, citizens' participation.
We have anyone
here to
tonight?
talk to us tonight? Okay.
Oh, almost got there.
Okay.
My name is Linda.
No, you have to come up here, and not that easy.
First time
It's okay.
patient.
It's all fine. Make sure you speak into the microphone. It's hard to hear you if you don't.
My name is Linda Hannon, and I'm one of the volunteers with the Onset Blues Committee, the festival. We would respectfully request that you guys made a decision a week or so ago about the vendors and charging $25 for a vendor, that you maybe push that out until next year.
When did you have your permit, ma'am?
Excuse me?
When did you have your permit? It's been in a while, hasn't it?
No, I'm with the committee, so we're talking about all the vendors that now have to pay $25 to participate.
For any new permit that comes to us.
Your permit's already in place.
Okay, so Okay, that's great,
You're
because-
grandfathered in.
we weren't, that wasn't clear, so you've answered my question. And just one other thing while I'm here, since I am from Onset and I know that Onset and parking is a
You can
hot issue
promote the
these
event
days.
if you want also.
What?
You can promote the event while you're here.
Excellent, we'd love to promote the event. Yes, it's August 2nd, actually extended hours, it's from noon till 9 o'clock, and we have a great lineup, so we'd love to have people come. Just one other thing while I'm here. As everybody knows, the onset parking thing has been a huge deal. I just want to say a big thank you to the ladies in the parking, the harbor master's office that did the parking. I was there the second day that the whole thing went into effect, and people were not happy, obviously. And I just want to call out those ladies. They were incredibly professional, and they were incredibly helpful, and I think that a lot of times they don't get credit for what they're doing, but they really, really were doing an awesome job that day. So I just thought it was
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Appointments, I think I have I only have one reappointment. Let me just kind of do it. And I don't think John McGonigal isn't here. So, okay. So I make a motion that we reappoint to the Board of Road Commissioners to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2016. John McGonigal of 36 Bay Point Drive. in Buzzard.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Holmes. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you.
Okay, see, that was easy. All right. Yeah, let's do the licenses. You want to do that? Okay, licenses. All right, so licenses and permits, and we have the Dudley Brown Post. Somebody had? No. Oh,
Yes.
yes. Come on down. All right, so we do have this issue with.
They're working on it.
Okay,
We'll take care of conditions.
okay, it's being, all right, so a conditional motion when we get there, okay. All right, so this is for 3 one-day alcohol licenses. One's July 19, 2014, from 1 to 5. One's July 26th, from 1 to 6. The other one, July 27th, from 12 to 5. And I believe, I think what they do is, this is under the pavilion, really, is where you do this, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, outside.
So that's what happened. That's the reason why we have to do these, as everybody's aware, I'm sure, right? Okay. All right, so do you want to tell us something quickly, or we're ready to go?
The only thing I have that I would have spoken on, that we have on the VFW post fundraisers for children's Christmas party. Our organization gives a large Christmas party at the end of the year for Christmas. And all your local children, I believe is from age 7 or 5 and up to 12, receive gifts and a party. And this goes on every year. It's a well done event.
Great. All right, I move we approve the application of Dudley L. Brown, Post 2846, VFW, 4 Gibbs Ballpark Road, Onset, Massachusetts, for 3 one-day all alcoholic licenses, July 19, 2014, from 1 to 5, July 26, 2014, from 1 to 6, July 27, 2014, from 12 to 5, to be held on the Onset VFW Pavilion. No alcoholic beverages to be consumed on town property.
May I just ask a question?
Yeah,
Is that a 6 or is that a 8?
that's,
This is the 26th one.
I don't know.
I think it's
It looks like an 8.
Sir, on your application for the 26th, it
I
looked,
have the 27th on my notes.
no, on the 26th for the picnic, it says 1 p.m. to either 6 p.m. or 8 p.m.
That's 8 p.m.
8.
It is 8?
All right, so I'm
That
gonna,
was 8.
Okay, so you need to amend your motion, sir.
I'm gonna amend the motion to change that from July 26, 2014, from 1 to 8 p.m.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Holmes.
Oh, yeah. I also have to add the condition that the insurance be upgraded
Upgraded,
correctly,
which they know about.
which they know about, so they're working on it.
Again, motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Holmes. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
All right, so. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Just go to
separate and distinct from your license.
number B.
Right.
B, you want to go to 8B? Okay. Discussion of CETA, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Just to make sure you don't get bit. I
yeah.
don't have anything for us.
Understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bank ordinance. Okay. All right, we're gonna jump down to 8, we're gonna jump down to 8B. Discussion and vote on the Cedar documents for Bay Point. You wanna come back up, or you wanna, we can handle it, actually. It's no problem. All right, I make a motion that we approve the agreement, document that we have, and I don't have it in here, by the way, it's in our other packet. It's not in here, I don't know why it's not in here. But we approve the document, consent agreement of the landlord, to DCU, right?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Holmes. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you.
Do you need this for your?
Yeah, let me have that, because it's not in our folder. Okay. Next, we can go back up to the top. Discussion Wareham Housing Authority sewer bill.
Mr. Paulides? Guy? Jackie? Mr. Campina, would you like to start off?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As I look at the sewer business, Housing Authority sewer bill, I've been made aware of the cost of sewer related to the amount of water being used. And all I'd like to say on that is I know the board is addressing that issue. It actually comes up later in the agenda. That's one of the problems that we're looking at, and I think as we discuss the sewer usage we've been discussing, if that'll address the issues that they're presenting, and I think it will. So I think that's all I have to say on it. There's nothing that we can do. It's an EDU process. That's what it is, and there's nothing else I believe we can do at this time other than work on the actual changing of our policy to make it more equitable for everybody.
Can I give him this? Should I give him this?
Could you guys explain your side, please?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, water bills are about $14,000 a year, and I think our administrator, Ms. Hickey, is passing that out. And our sewer bill for a similar year is $63,000, so it's like better than 4 to 1 sewer to water. And as you know, we get our units at the Agawam Village as individual, like a studio or a motel unit, so to speak. They're all elderly individuals, and the 40 units there and 64 units at Redwood, again, are elderly individuals, and maybe 1 or 2 units that have more than one person. So the sewer usage or water usage is significantly less.
And recently, just to expound on what Mr. Paulides said, in Redwood, the 64-unit process, we have in each 8 buildings, two 45-gallon water tanks, period, for those units. Along with the washing machines are located in our community buildings. So there's no individual washing machines. The units are 20 by 25 roughly in both Agawam and in Redwood. And the wash machines are located outside the living units. They're in our community building. I mean,
Okay. This is similar what you've paid over the last few years, correct?
60, because it's $596 a unit times
Right.
104 comes to 60. Well, actually, no, it's
So it
two-
hasn't
two
gone up,
units.
it's the same
No,
as you've been
same,
playing,
same
right?
EDU rate.
Right.
It's $63,176, and it includes 104 units plus 2 community buildings.
Right.
Each one's, at $596, each of the community buildings. So,
Well, can I? Okay, we're gonna work on changing over to water rates, water flow. We're gonna talk about that later on tonight. Your rate hasn't gone up and it's stayed the same, so it's consistent with what the plan has been to this point. And I appreciate you coming in and saying that, because it sort of helps us with our issue, which is that we need to kind of get on with this and get this program, online, because there are lots of cases as we all agree, that should change in one way or another. And yours may be one of them, and I don't know what your flow is, and I can't say for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But I can tell you that there are cases where that's going to take place. Other people are paying for other people. You know what I mean? Like, because
Absolutely.
it's a
Right,
big
right,
disparity.
right, right.
And hopefully we're going to fix that very shortly, as we get further down in the list. Okay? At this point, there's really nothing we can do, because it's the way we do
It's a
it.
uniform system.
If we had suddenly given you some unusual increase, then I could say, well, okay, maybe we can talk about doing some
Right.
abatement
No,
for you.
we
But in this
understand.
case, we didn't.
We understand.
It's the same. All we can do is tell you, well, that's the program we're on, and that's how we've set it up. And we will, at some point for you, be changing this. I know we will. I think we've all agreed to this, but we'll talk about it later on.
Very good.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
In the meantime, happy soaring.
Yeah.
Were you looking also for something with a past due payment or something, for interest or something also?
Well,
Were you not?
as you understand, in the past year or so, we've struggled. We've suffered in 2014 from the Commonwealth not giving us any subsidy until June of this year, because of deficiencies that existed in 13 and 14, some of which we couldn't correct and were beyond our control. We have made up and supplied all the records and information and reporting requirements during 14 for 13. There's some that's beyond our control, and we can't. So they have now, in June, given us 80% of our subsidy. In July, we should get the rest when we make our final report. But in that regard, I would like to ask if you could consider one of the requests we made back in January and April about us utilizing the services of the sewer department for the maintenance of our pump station at Redwood. We asked that before. We put it off. It was in April before the election, but the statute clearly provides that the town can authorize the use of those services, and we would pay all costs, direct, indirect, fringe benefits, overhead, labor, materials, supplies, every cost associated. There'd be no cost to the town. And I think Mr. Campina is capable of.
We talked about this last meeting. I think I can clear this up pretty quickly.
Mr. Chairman, if you will, we were approached a while back in regards to taking care of the pump station. It's something that we do on a daily basis. It's a very small pump station at the, I believe it's the Redwood development down behind Church Street. It's a very small pump station with a small generator. And so for us to go by there routinely, we'd have to sit down and look at it and evaluate it and see how often we'd go by. And we feel that we can provide the service. And I'm asking for your permission to pursue it and to put some cost to it, bring the cost back to the board so we can make sure that it's mutually beneficial. But we believe it will be. I truly believe that it's beneficial to the elderly, and something that we do routinely. We can save them money in the long run, provide a service, and I just think it's a good idea to move forward in it.
So you're going to go ahead and put something together?
Yes, I'm going to
Package-wise,
sit
then you're
down.
going to give it to the Housing Authority for them to review?
I want to sit with the Housing Authority. We're going to look at it. We can discuss exactly what we're going to do, how often, and then we can talk about the cost of how much men. I'll show them my men cost that we can put all together, bring it back to the board so you can see it, and then we can move forward with the final approval if you so desire.
So you'll bring us back a package between the
Yes.
two of you
We can.
for us to review to go ahead. We have our next meeting obviously a month from now, so if you can get back to us within 3 weeks, so we'll have at least a week to review it, so when you come before us, we can make a decision easily.
Okay, I thank you. I will do that. It'll give us a chance to really look at it.
Now, my last question again is, wasn't there some interest or penalty charges?
Oh, yes, yeah, there was. Again, relating to the fact that we were unable to receive our subsidy from the Commonwealth, we weren't able to pay all our bills during the fiscal year, and one of them was the sewer bill, in June we paid $75,000 bill, which might have included $4,000 in interest and.
No, we didn't. excuse me, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
We paid, there was an outstanding FY13 bill plus all of 14, so we've cleared all of that up. And, but we did not, I mean, because we're a municipality, I felt like we wanted to ask your forgiveness and humbly ask your forgiveness for abatement on the interest and penalties and fees.
Do we have a number for that?
Late check. I
Well,
thought it was $4,000.
It was $4,400
Yeah.
because recently a lien was put on the FY13 amount.
I think,
So it's about $44.98.
I believe we have to go back to the town treasurer in order to work through that.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to have a formal request to go to the treasurer, and he's gonna have to make a recommendation back to us, because when the treasurer basically does something like that, it comes out of our hands.
Okay.
So we'll see what we can do, but first we have to get an answer.
Well, there's only a portion of that that's been liened. All the others is just strict late fees.
understand.
So once the late fees, all late fees go through the treasurer and collector?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead, Mrs. Whiteside.
Does this fall under the procurement regulations?
I gave you a copy
Yes.
of Mass General Law.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says under Chapter 7, so far as practicable, a housing or redevelopment authority shall make use of the services of the agencies, officers, and employees of the city or town in such authority is organized, and such city or town shall, if requested, make available such services. And because you
But
already...
that doesn't answer the question, is does it have to go out to bid?
No.
It says,
No, because...
let me just,
Yeah,
excuse
go
me,
ahead.
under section 23 of the same statute, it says the entering into a contract under this section, these are the powers of the municipality in relation to us. A city or town or federal government or between a city and town and an operating agency, that's the housing authority, shall not be subject to the provisions of law relating to publication and advertising for bids.
Thank you.
Plus, we're the municipality supplying the service, so it wouldn't. come under
Right.
procurement. If we-
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I understand. We
And-
want to
and
make sure
to
we're
your
on the same
point-
Involved in
page.
the wrong side of the,
Yeah,
of
no.
something
No,
that's...
we
Yeah.
understand.
And to your
We
point,
totally understand.
when we do something like this, we definitely would get the opinion of the IGAG, just to make sure we're in,
Thank
you
you.
know, that's something we
Yeah.
would do
Yeah.
routine.
This is common practice in the Commonwealth with 240 housing authorities in the Commonwealth. Many of them have municipal
sense.
agreements with the city and town they're in, just like we do with the town of Wareham and the procurement of gasoline from the maintenance department.
Can I just have one more question?
Okay, just one point very quickly. Make sure that we run this through our town administrator as our procurement officer as well. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Whiteside.
What is the rate on water?
I
I
know, you
don't
mean
have the
cubic
bill
foot?
with me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I know you don't, but do you know what your rate per thousand is?
Not off
Offhand,
the
no.
top of the head, I'm sorry. I did not bring a copy of the bill with me.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we'll
see you back in a month.
go forward and back in a month.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I'll
you.
give you a call with the,
Yeah, it's gonna be
You can
discussed
even
in the
draft
sewer
up a
policies.
memorandum of understanding.
There's a
I'll
few
get
that we
something
need to
from
talk
the,
about, and I think you saw them in your packet, subject
something new.
text there. and,
thank you.
I'll let Guy do the presentations, and you can do that. You wanna do the presentations, Guy?
And what is that, sir?
Of the policies that we talked about?
The,
We're gonna talk about that next.
the sewer development policy and the billing policy for the grease, those two.
Right. Yeah, we want, remember, we have a few policies we want to deal with. One is the way we charge for betterments, and things of that. I want to bring that up tonight, so that we,
I have a copy of the, I don't know if you all have a copy. I sent it over to the Selectmen's office, so you have the policy.
The policy packet? Which policy number is it, please?
hopefully be adding to it.
This is the actual policy, so you have the actual policy. So this is on the sewer development charge, and what that really relates to. So, I mean, if you have, I apologize, I just didn't see it, so I just, do you have that policy?
Yes.
It's
I'm sorry, he probably has, I
07-01.
apologize if you, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to duplicate it, but I wanted to make sure we're talking about the same thing, and
Yeah.
and one of the things that we wanted to discuss in our meeting, and first of all, let me say the weekly meetings have been terrific. It gives us an opportunity to openly discuss some things going on with the plant. I think it's one of the better things we've done in a long time, and I appreciate and I thank the board for making the move. So thank you so much for that. And so one of the questions I had recently was a contractor came in to apply for a permit for a piece of property to tie it to sewer, and the property was a subdivision of a property that had already been bettered. And that prompted this whole discussion. And the betterment was for a large piece of property, and I don't know if I should say what it is, but it's a large piece of property. And after the betterment was paid, the owner subdivided 3 lots off it. And now they're building on those 3 lots. So the question becomes, are those lots subject to the sewer development charge? And
Yes.
so-
Yes.
Yes.
They are separate legal entities.
I think he has one, based on the fact that
Right.
it's the entire parcel.
But he's got to now pay for 2
For
more.
either 3, but now he's got to pay for 2 more.
Yes, okay. I just want, because I wasn't so sure, because bluntly, in the past, we've been back and forth on it, so I want to make sure we set good, solid ground. To be honest, when I explained to him that he's got to pay a betterment, which is equal to the most recent betterment, the sewer development fee,
Right.
I want to be sure when I relay that the support of the board by this policy is in place, and if there was going to be any changes. So that would apply to all. I have this particular property, the Bliss property, and that's all I'll say about it. But
Same
that has
issue.
been subdivided, so it should be subject to the same policy. I just
Yep.
want to be clear on all that, okay? And so, because I'm preparing bills, and I want to do the right thing, and I didn't want to overstep my bounds, so that's why I wanted this discussed, so we can make sure that we're all on the same page and applying the same things.
Yep. Let's see, we're on the same
May I
page.
just add, or may I ask a question?
Go ahead, Mr. Whiteside.
Yep. Not necessarily you, Mr. Campaign. Is there any language that we should add in here that would clarify that, and we should update our vote on it too, right?
There may be,
Is there any language?
well, I think maybe we should, I think it's pretty clear. Go ahead. Mr. Holmes?
And each property that connects is a separate connection, yeah.
Okay, I just want to ask the question and put it out there, Mr. Holmes, so that, yeah.
My mistake.
I think
My comment was simply that the first sentence says it all, that this is about, if you want to connect to the town sewer system, you have to pay the development charge, which is equal to the most recent betterment set by the sewer commission.
Yes.
Okay, so now my question
That's
would
pretty
be, I've subdivided my property, I paid you once, but I'm not going to sewer the other 2 properties.
Well, if they're not
That's
sewered,
fine.
there's no betterment, but when you come to sue, then you'll be subject to sewer development charge.
If you
And
hook up, you pay. If it sits there and you don't hook up, you don't
That's-
pay.
Thank you.
Right?
I think that's a pretty clear policy.
Okay.
I
So
think we should
appreciate
reaffirm
that,
it.
just for clarity. And the other policy I had discussed
Wait,
at our
what is-
meeting.
Wait.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I'd like to reaffirm this policy.
Second.
All right, make a motion.
I just did.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Change the names on
Okay.
Thank you so
it.
much.
Just one.
All right, now, this is the interesting one. You're going to talk about the one for the people who haven't tied in? Which one?
I sent over some different types of laws, but we have people that simply haven't tied into the sewer. They just haven't.
Which one?
Right.
Which one?
Now, you know, one of the problems with this is...
What's the number?
What number are you talking about, please?
Well, there isn't
Where
one.
are we?
There isn't one, it's a bylaw. The town of Wareham has a bylaw that
Right.
states that after sewer goes by your home, we have 1 year to tie in. That's what the bylaw is. And so, we have properties back 2005, 2006 that have not tied in. I also had a letter from an individual specific to this policy that hadn't tied in, and what we did in a prior board, and we got permission to do that, was to bill them, which Selectman Tropi and I discussed, bill them for the capacity. Even though they haven't been using it, we're going to bill them, which we had done that to 22 properties that hadn't tied in. It became a legal finagle to get it collected. We still haven't collected it. So anyways, a gentleman comes forward who bought his property off the bank. It's been assessed this bill, I think it's $2,000. The bank says, I'm sorry, it's as is, it's your own. I don't want to touch it. It's not my problem. So he's saying, I'd like to tie in, but I really can't afford this past bill. So that led me to discuss this and say, okay, how does the board want to handle this type thing going forward? Because there are people there that haven't connected, and how do we get them to connect? And one of the things says if they haven't connected, when they go to connect, then maybe we charge them all this back that they could have paid. So those are the type of discussions we had, and I think the board should discuss this so we can get some direction on how we're going to get those folks that simply haven't tied in. Because if I'm in contract too, and you're telling me to tie in, I don't know if I would. So that's prompted this whole conversation.
Let me just give you a little background, if I can.
I believe the paperwork was sent just recently to the board, the last day or so in this particular case.
I sent some papers to yes, I did, recently
And
to
I
discuss
sch-
this and
and
other
I've-
things to
I've
be
scheduled
legally.
it as a separate item, I believe, for August 5th,
Okay,
because it wasn't listed here at all.
Because what?
It
okay.
wasn't listed here as an item for policy. We got a separate actual individual looking for some relief, which we just got, so I've already scheduled that for the 5th.
So we don't have a letter.
No, because it's not scheduled for this meeting.
Well, we did talk about that we would be talking about sewer policies
Right.
tonight. And this is something that we're going to have to create a policy around a little better
Okay.
than what's there. And we don't have to deal with it 100% tonight, but I think that we wanted to bring it to your attention. And one of the important things here is this. Look, hypothetically, we install sewer laterals or mains, and we give you a year to connect. If you have a septic system, we usually give you a waiver. You get a 5-year waiver. If you just put it in recently, we give you a 5-year waiver, and then you're supposed to connect. We can go out and force you to connect by taking you to court and going through the whole process and spending money to get you to connect, and we can force you to connect because we always make it mandatory that you have to connect. Because what good is it to put a sewer system in if nobody uses it? All right? Usually you're putting it in for a reason, and it's important that everybody uses it.
But we have something that says, if it goes by your house and we put a stub there,
You have a year to hook up,
then you have 1 year.
Correct.
unless you have
But
a
then
system of certain
you
age.
could spend we could take 22 people, in this case, to court, and spend a lot of time in court and all kinds of things trying to get them to connect. It could go on forever. What a lot of towns do is there's two things that they do. For one, some towns will then ban them from connecting at all. So when their system fails, they can't connect. There's just no capacity saved for them. They're not allowed to connect, and it's too bad. It's a problem because they paid a betterment. So then that always ends up with a court challenge, and I've seen it happen in another town. I've seen it happen. So the best way is most of the towns, what they'll do is they'll continue to charge them for the fee for the use of that sewer. And when they do come to connect, in order to connect, they have to pay the fee. So in other words, instead of chasing them for money and trying to get them to connect, you charge them the EDU every year, whatever it is, it gets attached to that connection, and they can't connect until they pay that fee. And eventually their septic's gonna fail. They're not gonna be able to put in another one because sewer's available, so you're not allowed to install. And then they're gonna have to use the money they would have used to put the septic in and come back and pay the fee to connect to the
With the
pipe.
penalties?
That's the penalty.
But if I have and again, I don't, but
You might.
it's on.
You're not speaking into it.
So, back to your point. Yeah, I have a house, you brought the sewer by, you put a stub in there, right? I have a septic system.
Yep.
Now I have a brand new one, so I think you get what?
5 years.
5 years, right? So, why would you penalize me with the 560, whatever it is, every year until I hooked up?
Well, we wouldn't on the 5 years. You don't get penalized if it's a legitimate case.
All right.
And you've got a waiver, which is
Right.
what goes in your file.
So are you talking
wouldn't
about
get
the
paid.
6th year,
Yeah.
you would start
If you-
charging?
yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
From year 6 on, you'd
Right.
start to accrue money.
And for anybody else, it would be year 2 on, because you have 1 year to...
Correct.
Okay.
So
I just, why
year
was
2
it?
on, they would, and that's the policy that needs to be in effect, so they understand that that's the way it is. And look, they don't come to connect because they don't have an issue. Because when they finally do want to connect to that pipe, it's because they got a problem. And the Board of Health is not going to let them install a septic system if the pipe is there. So they can't get a system. So they're going to have to come to us eventually.
So I'm following you there. Now, let's add one more step, because we're gonna be talking in
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
minutes about. So, let's say I'm supposed to tie in a year, my year comes up, and we don't have an EDU anymore.
Well, yeah, what we could do is we would establish at that point.
See where I'm
when
going
we-
with this?
yeah, no, and
Because
I
you gotta
agree.
have something, you
I
gotta have
agree. What
a
we're
game
gonna have
plan
to
here.
do is establish a fee that's good, we're gonna charge for each year, and whatever it's going to be. And if it ends up being, maybe it stays the $597, whatever, we're gonna have to establish a fee in order to make it so that it behooves you to make the connection.
So if you use the 596, that's the number, and then you could always adjust that number as we get into another
Yeah.
program and see what
Right.
that average fee is.
Yeah, because otherwise you
But
write
it's
a
number.
policy that says, you know, your fine after a year is gonna be the EDU rate, and then
Right.
20 minutes later, we discuss, there is no more EDU
Well,
rate, so.
but for now, we have this, and that's what we
But
have to
that's what
deal
you're
with.
talking
And then
about,
we'll have
okay.
to make the change of
I'm
whatever the
following.
amount is, or however we're gonna deal with it. We'll call it the 597 or whatever. But this is gonna be an important issue, because the more you sewer, the more you have some people that just won't connect. And, you know, look, all of the areas that we've been putting online, every single area that we've been putting online, they're going online for a reason. Mostly because DEP says those are the areas that need to be sewered, and they're in our plan. And that's typically why we do these. It's not like we're going out there saying, well, we're just gonna sue everybody because we haven't, because of course we know the betterments are always a problem. So we try to sewer just the areas that are important.
This is already a bylaw. We already have this in place.
We
Do we
don't.
not?
We have a bylaw.
We have a bylaw that says
You have to connect.
1 year you have to connect. We have that bylaw. It even goes into fines and penalties, and then it goes into Superior Court action. So all that's laid out. But after that's all been exhausted, as Selectman Tropiano pointed out, then we have to go to court, spend the money, and present to a judge to get this all to take place. That's a long process. So the idea we discussed, which I really, really like and endorse, is that, okay, fine, we're not going to chase you, but you're going to have to come to us one day. And when you do, then you're going to pay us everything you owe us. So I think it's a good approach,
I get
because
you.
it's not threatening, it's just,
Yeah.
okay.
I think that makes an enormous amount of sense, and particularly because you endorse it, Mr. Campina, I think, you know, that it makes sense. It's a good use of resources and not chasing something that's gonna,
So are you guys gonna rewrite the bylaw and bring it in for us to vote on?
Well,
So
No, that'll be town meeting.
Policy.
The bylaw can still stand,
Right.
because if we needed the court system, we could use it. But we'll create a policy that allows us to charge the fee.
It's not in here.
No, you would have.
No, we don't have the actual policy.
You would have
We
a
just-
new, you'd basically be writing a new sewer policy. The bylaw requires town meeting to approve.
I-
Sewer
And you guys gonna
non-connection
do
fee.
that?
This would be a new policy.
policy, but not a bylaw.
Not a bylaw.
Okay,
The
so,
bylaw would remain the bylaw.
okay, so can you and Mr. Campina and town council work on that?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on?
I think Selectman
Thank you.
Tropiano and I can sit down and work this out, get it over to Rich Bowen, and he can give us advisement as to where we need to go with it.
Thank
We'll
you.
have another meeting tomorrow.
That's great, thank you.
Okay. All right. What was that?
The last one I had is, and this is just a correction, I'm not looking for the opinion of the board. We have a policy about how we build seating capacity for restaurants.
What number is it, guy?
This is policy 07-02.
07-02.
It's in our packet.
It's in our
That's
packet.
right, that needs to be updated as well.
And that policy 07-02 speaks of how we bill EDUs according to seating capacity of the records of the Board of Health. And when I went to the Board of Health, they do a range, 100 to 120 seats or what have you. So that's, I can't do that, I gotta pick a number. And the other thing is I'm concerned about seating capacity of a restaurant. Inspectional services issue permits, and restaurants have so much room, so much capacity for seating, and that's it. And I know now in the last couple of years, the town has required an engineered plan for restaurants to do the floor plan. So that's a real number. So what I'm asking is if we could use those numbers for billing that are accurate, and I don't know the law, but keep us out of trouble maybe by not charging more than we legally can, and then use those numbers opposed to the numbers by the Board of Health. I think they're more accurate, and I think they're more precise. because the inspectional services require an engineered plan. So that's just the thought I have.
So
That's
you're
on
saying that issued by permit, and you're saying by the inspection department?
Inspectional services are part of Board of Health, yes.
So, has that always been the case?
Yes, it has. What we do is,
Well, but,
it always has been, since 2007.
yeah, but you had spoken a while ago about a location where you went that was permitted for 22 seats, and when you went in, you were able to count 44
More,
seats.
absolutely.
So, help me figure out how you're going
Well,
to fix that one.
Well, that's, to my point exactly, because I'm going to charge them 44 seats, which may not be legal because they're going to legally have 22. Special Services would issue a specific number to that facility, and not only is that all I can bill, that's all they can have.
But
So then, in that case, I would turn it over to the Special Services and let them get involved. That's out of my purview, so I'd give it to them. I'd only charge them what the max is 22, and if I go in and there's more, then it's an issue for the Special Services. They can deal with it.
Okay, so if there's a, restaurant A, and in 2000, it was a new restaurant, and it had 20 seats. In 2005, they doubled their capacity. And then in 2007, this policy was created. And then in 2008, they redoubled the capacity. Did the inspectional services have to permit all of them?
Absolutely. If they do a change,
I'm just asking.
they have to go to the Special Services to create that change, because you're talking about the same floor plan. To expand that, they need to go to the building department.
Right.
And take up, so that would be upgraded. They would say, okay, there's no longer 22 seats, it is now legally 44 seats. And so we'd get that automatically, and the following year, we'd correct our billing appropriately.
But I don't understand, sir, because you had said that you had actually been in a couple of places where,
I do, and I can continue to do that. I'm just looking at, from my, maybe I'm overreacting, but if I bill somebody that, I go in a restaurant, they have 44 seats, I don't know what the real number is. Special Services do know the real number. And so I believe that's the number I should bill at. So if I overbill somebody and something happens, do I have an issue because am I endorsing 44 seats or only should be 22? That's all, I'm trying to present that to see if it's used their numbers.
It's a, Judy, Mrs. White, when they doubled back in 2000, two things probably happened. One, they had to go to building inspectional services to get a permit for the increase. And two, if it was a liquor license, they had to come here,
right,
and we had to approve the additional square footage and seats in the restaurant, as well as their victualer's license. So, but the Board of Health, I mean, they have records, but the guy who's issuing the permit, I agree with that you guys we should go to the inspectional services department.
I agree.
To get the current updated floor plan in, because the Board of Health wouldn't have that.
Right, I agree.
Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that much
your
better than I can, thank
recommendation
you.
again is to approve 0702 with the change to read permit by the inspectional services department.
Yes.
So moved.
I make that motion.
Just did.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 500.
And may I ask you to say that it's effective immediately?
Oh, sure. Effective upon
Immediately.
signing. Right, today.
So can we re-vote that? It's effective immediately? Aye.
You want to go back and read all
I just wanted him to add to it.
I did.
You did, and I did too.
Motion was modified by Mr. Holmes to be effective immediately, seconded by Mrs. Whiteside. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500, modification.
That takes care of 0702, right?
Anything else, Mr. Campino?
No, on that,
What are these other ones in this book?
I
Are we
don't
doing
know,
it?
at the sewer bank, the other policies, we only,
You
there's
guys
a lot
are
of policies
jumping
we
around. Are we
discussed.
going to go right through these or no?
No, we're going to do them as our weekly meetings. We're going to start picking these apart and pick out the important ones that pertain to what's going on and try to get through them that way, and so. No, I appreciate it. I truly do. So that's all I have for policies at the moment. And we can move on to the next one, which I guess is the sewer bank, and I can wrap that up in 2 seconds. I just want to
Okay, sewer bank.
Last time I was here, one of the questions was the legality of the sewer bank and how we're going to present it. So I got an SG, I guess, Supreme Court ruling. So I want to get it to you, and then it's something we can discuss further. I can pick it up with Mr. Travagliano.
I think we
also
got
sent
that
a
as
copy
well.
to you. I sent copies to Mr. Selectman Bowen. So my answer to that is that this is what we're doing. I'm moving it forward. We'll continue to look into it, make sure that we're on good, solid ground, develop a good policy, and then bring it back to the board. I just wanted to update you on that one.
You bring that back in 1 month, Weston?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Make a note of that.
Okay, thank you.
So that this would end up being adopted as a policy, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
That's that sewer hookup.
The sewer bank, yes. And that's, and again, real quick, that's for the charge, I&I charges, infiltration and inflow, and
All right.
it's really just to help us
This is where
find more capacity. Because I do want to bring to the board's attention, after all these connections we've granted, we started with 156,000 gallons and change. We're now down to 58,000 gallons. So this sewer bank policy, again, is to go after I&I, add back to that bank to increase the available gallons by having people connect and help us do that. So we're down to 58,000 gallons, and so I wanted you to know that. And I'll put that in official form and present it to the board. But when people come for sewer connections, we have 58,000 gallons based upon the original capacity study of 156.
Okay, the next one is the discussion to move forward on the next step of sewer, the sewer plan. And Guy and I have been talking about this, and what we'd like to do is increase the scope of tie-in bonds study with us, to include or to add to it the plan to get us over from the EDU rates to the water.
Do we have any idea cost-wise?
Well, we need his permission from this board to investigate it, and then we will get that done. We'll do the investigation, we'll find out what the factor for.
So that would basically have to go through again.
Yes, so we'll have to go procurement and everything else. But until we get permission of this board, I think we
Not with,
can use, I think we can increase the scope without any issues. But we need to find out what the dollar amount is and so on.
I think the only problem is they've actually completed the job as it was bid out originally as the problem.
I think it's been completed, and we also, they increased, the scope's changed as we did this, so they billed us again for a little extra. But I believe, you can check with Mr. Bowen, but I believe because they're consultants, that we have a lot of latitude, and it doesn't have to go to procurement. The procurement is best practices, and I think we can move forward. So I think we can check with Mr. Bowen to verify that, get some prices from them, and then decide how we're going to move.
You have to make sure of a couple of things. One, the
Use the
existing
mic.
project has to, it is on.
Pull it up to your mouth.
The existing project has to still be open,
Okay.
right? And it should be a minimum, I think it's under 5. Right. It has to still be open. Well, if that's been paid, it's not closed.
No, I think we still have a bill outstanding.
If it's not paid, it's not closed. So, yeah, but I thought you said that, I mean, I agree with having that direction, but I thought you said we've studied this thing enough and we were ready to go.
Well,
What part of my
I
missing?
think the purpose is for implementation.
Implementation.
Steve?
Oh, all right.
Now it's implementation.
So it's an implementation
This is actually a
plan.
plan.
is what we're looking for.
Implementation plan, yes.
Okay. I didn't want any more studies.
No, the next.
Implementation plan, got
Correct.
it.
That's how
Thank
we
you.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, so I move to authorize that.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. Any questions by the board? That's the sewer commissioners, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Beautiful. We'll come back again in 1 month, Guy?
Well, that,
Yeah,
you guys
hopefully.
can bring
we
that
can do
back
that.
sooner
You know
if
what?
you need to.
I think it might be sooner. We might put it in a regular meeting somewhere just to get it underway.
I'll give you a month.
It's-
The sooner you let me know.
Quick as we can get it done, the better, guy. We need to sort of
It's
rock and roll on this.
implementation, it should be pretty quick. They must have a
I think they do. I think they, and that's why I think that it's going to be relatively simple. All right, so the next thing is vote on the grant proposal for the water pollution control facility. And I have it right here.
And it's an interesting grant. We're pretty excited about it. What we're trying to accomplish is, through the process, we do testing, and it tells us information after the fact. We're going to add probes, if you will, into the entire process, the aeration basin, the anoxic basin, the clarifiers, the denitrification filters, and monitor it continually, and be able to make adjustments instantly. A, save electrical power, and B, be able to reduce the amount of nitrogen to the bay. And so that's our ambitious goal, and we're presented to the state, and we're looking for some funds for them. So that's what we're doing.
This is under the grant program that I sent over about the coastal program for the
Yes.
New England?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. It's nice for us to get some money that way.
Yep.
Second? You need a motion?
We need a motion.
You want
Move
to make it?
to authorize the application to Southern New England Coastal Watershed Restoration Program Nutrient Management Grant for the Wareham WPCF
Second.
monitoring.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Good job.
Okay.
When you send the grant in, double check to see if you'd like to have a letter from the Board of Selectmen supporting it as well.
Okay. I'll
Not hurt,
ask.
it will help.
Okay. I'll ask, yeah, I'll ask Mr. Greenfield, but because there's been a lot of endorsement, and we're really encouraged by the folks that are endorsing us and helping us. We really are. So it's a good project, and we've got some really good positive endorsements. So I want to thank the board and all the others that are helping
It's
us.
going to be awarded very shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's the 21st, I guess, is our deadline, and then it's going to be awarded right after,
Right, so the one thing that's missing on here that I had put on the agenda, for some reason didn't get put on here, was the Swiss Beach issue. You got it on another day? Okay. All right. All right, so we've got to get it on there, though, because we need to start discussing how we're going to handle it. And even if we're going to do it in phases, I don't know, but we're going to have to talk about that, okay? So let's get that on there.
Swiss Beach as far as sewer or Swiss?
As far as re-sewering it, it's going to have to be re-sewered. Okay?
I think what we actually had on there was the Swiss Beach CR discussion.
Well, I had written it on the thing as Swiss Beach sewer project, is what I had put down.
I think we got about the other one.
Okay.
I apologize.
All
for
right,
that.
so let's try to get it together so that we can work on that, because that is, you know, we have 68,000 gallons now, and I believe that we could find ourselves with 100,000 extra gallons in a blink of an eye.
I think that's very conservative.
At least, once that project is dealt with. Okay, all right, so, is there anything else that you have, guys?
No, that's it. Now, just to drive that point home, I just something I want to point out. When we had that 8 inches of rain in, what was it, a short period of time, the plant actually got 6.4 inches of rain. We took in approximately an extra 500,000 gallons of water to the plant, spilled over into the next basin, which is a 1 million gallon basin. So we do have some I&I issues. And I also want to say something publicly. During that storm, we had some pump stations go down. We had some issues. And my weekend crew, Mike Baptiste in particular, and Steve, I can't say how proud I am of them. They stepped to the plate, went above and beyond, and got us through that, and the other staff. And so I want to publicly thank them for their hard work, their dedication. I think it's very important because we can do anything without the staff we have. So I really wanted to publicly acknowledge them, and I thank you for that opportunity.
Go ahead, Mr. Holmes.
These are old pump stations.
Yes.
These are old.
Yes, they are.
The new stuff.
No, there's not the new stuff. There's all, we have a high percent, but I'm going to break down the percents for you, so you'll have it. Yes, absolutely.
It might be helpful for the sewer commissioners if you actually, since we have either 45 or 49 eventual pump stations, and since we go back to the 70s, it'd be a good idea to have a list of stations and their actual ages so people have a better idea when we're talking about things, if we have
Absolutely.
a copy here. The other piece, too, is I'd like also to have on the agenda sooner than later discussion on onset itself, because that system is extremely old. And we've already had a few issues.
We have
with
some issues
clay
there.
pipes, and we just have the issue with the grease and the sand. And as bad as Swiss Beach is, I think onset's right there.
No, I totally
Step and
agree. We have that pipe. We know we have plenty of I&I also. We have that pipe, and we're moving forward. I'm going to camera that. I'll share the camera because I made the video. I'll share that with you, and we'll get in the report. We'll cover all that too, Mr. Chairman. So I agree with you 100%. Put it all together.
Okay, guys.
Mr. Chairman, may I just say something? Yep, thank you. I just want to say that having a meeting with you regularly and having Mr. Tropiano as the liaison is an outstanding improvement in terms of communication between you and the board, and I just want to say thank you to Mr. Tropiano for taking his time, and thank you for taking your time and moving us forward in a really good way. Appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and I appreciate Mr. Tropiano's efforts, and I really do, so thanks. And I thank the board for their indulgence, their support. I mean that because it's the entire board, and I mean that sincerely. And I'm not trying to, what do you call it, placate somebody. It's real, and thank you, because it's a big deal, it's a big project, and your support is big, so thank you so much.
I feel the love. I feel the love in the room. Let's move on. Let's move
People
on.
don't say enough, and I just want to ignore that stuff. I'm sorry.
Let's
Thank you so
move on.
much.
Under town business, next up. Thanks, Guy, I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Discussion and vote of the cemetery commissioners.
Basically, on this particular item here, there's some things that came up today, and I'd like to postpone the discussion on this meeting until I have some other discussions.
Okay, off the agenda.
I really am uncomfortable discussing it all right now. There's some things, I know it's on the agenda, but some things came up today, and I'd like to put it off. You'll have to.
Fine.
It's one of the few times I ask you to do something.
Any other town business not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours? Surplus?
Giving away municipal maintenance from the way this is written.
What are you talking about? C is any other town business?
No, C.
I got no C.
How do you keep getting old
This is the one
agendas?
in the agenda. This is the, well, it was in the packet.
Oh, you know why it didn't get changed out when you did the last minute
Well,
ad?
somebody didn't
Derek
change it
did
out
the
in
last
my-
minute ad on this one.
This packet should be the one that's always up to date, so you're gonna get that correction. This is the one in my. Okay, so that's why we skipped C, all right. Vote to surplus municipal maintenance, including sweepers, brush grinders, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna, we need to authorize them to eliminate.
Just to, should be a list in with the list in support, yeah.
Sewer bill, no? And I have nothing in it.
We didn't have support.
I have no supporting documents.
Yeah, that's the whole department, yeah.
Take it off the agenda.
This was put in at the last minute after I was gone. There's no paperwork in it.
You can come back to it next week.
I'll put
Whatever
it
the
back
list.
in next week.
Yep, so we got nothing.
They were rushing to try and
All
get
right,
it
so I
done.
was right, so it didn't belong in there to begin with. All right, back to my agenda. Back to my agenda. We'll skip your agenda. You guys can throw those away, all right? Okay, now my C says, any other town business not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours. Mr. Titlebaum.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Mrs. Whiteside. Mr. Holmes. Myself, no. Mr. Chairman. Nothing. Okay, so that's it. Liaison reports, please. We have no town administrative report. He's not here, as everybody can see. Liaison reports, please. Mr. Titlebaum.
Actually, if you
I'm
want.
scratching my
just-
head, I don't think I
Go ahead.
did anything during the past week that's noteworthy enough.
Okay, Mrs. Whiteside.
No, thank you.
All right, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I've got nothing. You heard mine tonight.
You're all
He was
set.
here, so I'm good.
For Mr. Sullivan, actually, the Old Colony that does the Meals on Wheels, some of the other projects, was in on last week. They visited the library, they went and reviewed the facility of the library to see whether or not, with some changes to the kitchen, whether or not that would be sufficient for the Council on Aging for potential move there temporarily. They'll be visiting this week and the beginning of next week to finalize whether or not we meet the standards or not, so that was already done last week. Everybody's got a copy of the meeting from the planning board last night on the Bay Point project. Project. I'm going to leave it up at the office for everybody to review. We have to make a comment back to the planning board. The next meeting is the 28th, when there'll be an actually definitive plan presented. So please take a look at it. If you have any questions, please bring it forward. And the last piece, as I've mentioned many, many times, the Celebration Committee of 2014, did a tremendous job for the town of Wareham. I thought we had a great parade, just everything in general. We got proclamations from our federal representative, our state senator, our local representative as well, and it just was a really nice time. The ball was done well. Everybody came back, and I've heard more people say, I didn't realize we were having it, I wish I had gone, and unfortunately, people missed out on a very good time who didn't come. Thank you.
Okay, we have no consent agenda, which is next on the list, so the next...
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
All right, so some of us can't, all right, so 10 minutes.